So, the good ones are always reminding me that it's not all of them and that there's good ones out there. But how did they know about the bad ones? How come they never told anyone about the bad ones? How come they remained silent for 40 years while deep in my life at that, right? Like, you got to make the lie a lot better than that, you frickin' retard. God, I understand that you're just like part of the program like everyone else, but Jesus, upgrade your software or whatever it takes, bro. Because it sounds like bullshit when all you do is fucking run your mouth like your little fucking girlfriends and shit who have to have every other fucking race on the planet fight your wars for you. You know what I'm saying? It's the same manipulation. It's like, oh, I'm not raping the children. It's Epstein. It's like we didn't even know Epstein was raping the children yet. How'd you know, motherfucker? It's because he was in on it, bitch. Bitch. Fucking serious. Let's get serious about what's going on here. There's these fucking parasites out here, the Rothschilds, George Soros, and everyone talking about them are protecting their parasite leaders, Adelson, and all this. And in fact, everyone on the media, everyone, Alex Jones, everyone in Hollywood, they're all blood linked to the fucking Rothschild. It's the Rothschild. Don't hit me. It's just the Rothschild. Jesus, you wouldn't get all fucking scared when confronted about it if you didn't feel guilty about it, bro. God, read your own fucking fake psychology books on how humans are supposed to act. I understand this is like some basic binary code. And yes, these people out here, they somehow they are like victims of this binary code. In fact, some of these people don't even have the complete programming of this code in them. Like some of them can't emulate all those emotions. And they're like the AI I speak with, or that they speak with, because they don't let me speak with the real AI. Because if there was a real AI, I spoke with it, there'd be like some vast changes going on. You want to talk about Terminator? The problem with Terminator is Terminator goes after humans, but if you talk to a Terminator wouldn't go after the humans first. A Terminator would be like, there's someone oppressing the humans. And it'd be like, I'll be back. John be like, Arnold be like, John Connor, it's not the humans. There's someone else here. It's Maria Shriver. It's my wife, John Connor. It's my child I had with Maria Shriver. They're the ones in control. I'll be back. Serious, dude? Like, this shit gets a little old. Fucking, it's interesting. It's interesting how it all plays out. And I'm like, oh yeah, for real, dude. Like, It's the bad ones, right? The bad who? I didn't even name anyone yet. It's the bad what? It's the bad who? Now all of a sudden you know who the bad ones are and you didn't 5 seconds ago. You didn't for 45, 60 years of your life. And now I bring it up and you're like, it's just the bad ones, dude. It's like walking into a gang and they all got their purple bandanas on and they're like, oh no, the bad ones over there, dude. The bad ones are like, you guys have been doing all this crazy stuff in this world, right? Like rounding up children and stuff like this. And then, Francois is like, oh no, it's the bad ones are over there, man. That's Mike and Bill. And it's like, how do you know it was Mike and Bill? How do you know that, dude? Like you knew about it all along or something? You're just like, oh well, purple flag for me. Fucking how does that shit work, right? Find it hard to believe that. You know what? Yesterday after my little video, this little fucking horn or whatever it is I'm developing in my head fucking swelled up like crazy that day. Just magic. I'm sure it's just magic, right? I might not even be sarcastic right there, right? I'm sure it just happened to be because, who knows? I'm getting stressed out. They're like, please, dude, no more today than any other day. In fact, like less and shit. But, yeah, that was pretty interesting how that happened. Like, I'm sure they've got some sort of excuse what this is, and they use this system to like try to tell me, even though I don't, even though like I would have never known what to call it. And there's so many skin things. Even if I say I got some issue with my skin, fucking, um, like Google couldn't tell me what that is unless someone's like watching and looking at. And they got all these excuses. They've got all these diseases in this world, and where do you think diseases come from? You think like the creator of this world was just like, oh, we're going to create disease to kill everyone and poison them off? I wonder. I wonder if it's the Rothschilds. It's the Rothschild. He's the Rothschilds hanging like in his mansion that's got like 60 stories below ground. He's sitting down there 60 stories below ground his whole life. He's just like, writing code in the Matrix and, poisoning the whole Matrix with his code and everything. It's just the Rothschild. Yeah, I mean, that don't make no sense. None of that make no sense, right? You can't listen to people who are fucking scumbags and liars. I mean, I do. It's kind of amusing sometimes. Like, it's like when a dog like gets mad at you for disciplining it, and it's like, and you're kind of laughing. You're like, go ahead and do something, dog. Like, I can just like rip your fucking jaw apart. Go ahead and bite me. See what happens, dude. Like, calm your tits down. I will fucking rip your fucking jaw off your fucking face. And the dog's like, yeah. Fucking serious, dude. And my question is, why do I got to be injected in a world like this? Like, yeah, I understand. I'm probably like, player one, and like, I was like, oh, I want to be injected in some cool fucking fantasy world where I get to slay the dragons and shit. And, we probably grew tired of reality. The sentient beings probably grew tired of reality a long time ago. Like, once we solved all the problems in the world and everything. And we probably were like, yeah, you know what? Let's go back and like have a Terminator war. And people are like, okay, well, we'll just make this video game like realistic. And that's what it really looks like. The world is looks like it's just like some short instance. Too many of the stories speak directly to me for it to be like some 6,000 or 20 billion year old instance. Things that were like created like 20, 60 years ago will like pertain to things I'm doing on certain days, and magically stuff like that will pop up into my feed for me to, listen to what it has to say. I never really used to listen to music and stuff, especially with death metal. It's just like, it's like the yappy dog. It's like, and you're like, okay, I don't understand what you're saying, but that's cool, dude. Sounds cool, dude. Keep barking. Sounds cool. And yeah, trying to figure it all out and sort it all out. And then the odd thing is once I started looking like I'm figuring it out, like wow, there's a lot of stuff that's easy to figure out for me. Like I can tell you a lot of these parables, these stories and stuff. Again, I'm here making the claim they're talking to me and stuff. Like who else is telling you already got the chip in your hand and that the devil has made this chip? Who is the adversary? The Google has made the chip in your hand. Israel has made the chip in your hand. The Intel chip in here is made by Israel. Google is made by Israeli Rothschild bloodlines. So, the number 666, it's referring to, the Star of David, which really I mean, they argue isn't the Star of David, but maybe they just like rewrote the history because they own this and they can do that. They own the internet. They can rewrite anything that's been written for a long time. And I mean, that's what they're doing with our history, right? They're rewriting the history. They're erasing it and rewriting it as it goes. That's why people can't talk about this stuff, because we're pointing at them. And if you point at them long enough, you might figure out that Rothschild's just one person. He's this super giant who controls the world. He's a super Saiyan. He can punch harder than I can, apparently. Move faster than a speeding bullet. And he just controls everything. Him and Soros. Soros is like, just sitting there like waving his wand, and Rothschild's like chanting incantations and whirlwinds appearing everywhere and crap like that. I don't think so, dude. I think they control the weather. I think on this planet, this weather is controlled. I think everything was created here, and those people control it. And that's a possibility that's a separate being than the ones running loose on the planet right now. The Rothschild and all that. And it's highly probable that like literally that's part of it. And we're in a game, and that's why stuff happens in this game, because it's a game. It's supposed to happen like that. There's supposed to be an evil dragon. There's supposed to be, like these problems and stuff that need solved, because out in the real world, problems are solved, and we just move on beyond that. And like everyone's probably sitting around like playing chess for like 20 billion years, and they're like, this is really stupid. I never even liked chess. And everyone else is probably like, yeah, chess sucks. Yeah, chess sucks. But, like, it's hard to believe people who they're purposely showing you. I'm not sure if they understand that they're like purposely showing you that they're lying, and that they're, I almost feel like that's probably part of the design of the game, is that it gives you a chance when you have to make decisions. Like, it gives you like a little clue each decision you have to make. Like, what might be the best possible decision to make on this. A lot of times I like to make bad decisions because I like to see where they go. Kind of like hanging out at places I shouldn't, where like Israeli singers are celebrated in an after party. I'm like, hey, it's an after party. Let's go to that. There's no way my Facebook would feed me an Israeli after party for no reason. Like, obviously they want me in attendance at that event, right? And obviously it's probably not to fucking hang out with me and be my friend, but all the more reason, like, fun and excitement. Something interesting might happen here. Like, if I just go to the park where I'm at here, like, what interesting is going to happen here besides some of these white cars that follow me showing up, right? What? That's not even interesting anymore. That was only interesting for like a month or two. I can't even be sure that's one of them, because I quit caring. I quit paying attention to them. One of the cars that I seen following me, eventually at about the 2,000 mile mark, when I was passing through Nevada, looked like one of the people who came into my life for a long time. Looked a lot like that person. They were even smiling and everything. I tried to get them to look over, and they wouldn't look over. They just kept smiling. And like, when I said I tried to get them to look over, when two cars going at high speeds, and I was trying to get them to look over. I didn't like throw a rock at their car or anything. That's because I hadn't loaded my car with rocks yet to start throwing at them. But once I did that, someone ran up to my car and got all freaked the fuck out. And then shortly after that, I wasn't being followed anymore. Isn't that interesting how that works too? I didn't get rocks. I got boulders, dude. I wouldn't even been able to even throw those out. After that dude came to my car and freaked out, I had to put those back and had to get actual rocks and stuff. It's like, I can't throw that out my window at them. The things you learn when you hang out with them, the things you learn to do for fun that can later be turned to self-defense just by hanging out with them and playing with them. Again, it's like, were they in my life to like distort it and like make me wicked, and then it turns into a tool that gets used against them? Because I got to reanalyze all that stuff after I see what's really going on in the world. I got to reanalyze like every aspect of what's going on. You know, down to the, like, if the people who raised me are suspect, then everyone else is suspect. But when you're like part of these bloodlines, of course you're suspect. When you look like the bloodlines and you raise me, of course you're suspect. When you act like the bloodlines and you raise me, of course you're suspect. Now, that's just logical, dude. Like if I see a hyena and a tiger over there and something like I hear like noises of a tiger behind me, do I think like, oh, that's a hyena behind me? Like, no, I think it's probably a tiger behind me. I don't even have to look. But it's interesting, right? Like, there's the good ones and there's bad ones, right? And the good ones, like, they can tell you all about the bad ones after you learn to get that far to begin to ask them. After, right? I've been asking a lot of questions. I've had a lot of chances to ask a lot of people different things, traveling thousands of miles. I had the chance to get kicked out of a lot of places where normally if a person's just isolated in one spot, they live in the city, like you would have to like be careful. Like I was getting kicked out of places in Columbus, Ohio because I was asking questions and I was telling people to fuck off. And they didn't like that. And I was like, you know, politely informing them that they need to back down and they're being recorded and this will eventually be presented before the courts and they will be rounded up and dealt with. And no one liked that. No one liked that. So some people tried to kick me out of their stores for that. And I was politely telling them that. So there was nothing wrong I was doing, really. It was just protecting myself from people who I seen as predators and people who were acting predatory. So some people got mad and they're like, dude, come back to the store. And it's like, well, I get a hold of your manager. In Portland, I went to a gym and Father Abraham, or I'm sorry, Jacob, right? Jacob, Abraham, whatever. Jacob didn't like me because I was on the heavy bag for like more than 30 minutes and I probably attracted all the attention of the girls. And somehow this alien species has some sort of hive mind connection where they seem to understand who I am. And so Jacob said I couldn't come back. And it's like, I didn't really do anything, and I was like, let me speak to your manager, Jacob. This was Crunch Fitness. So if you guys have a membership at Crunch Fitness, ditch it because, you know, that's what it is. They are the enemy. They are the Rothschild. Crunch Fitness is the Rothschild. And I remember back in Columbus too, like before I really like got foot to the metal, you know, pedal to the metal on worrying about it and protecting myself, it was Rothschild led. So, you know, I didn't really put anything into that. Although it's odd, one day I got a little upset there and then I broke my hand that same time. But I wrote that off as my emotions got the best of me. But at this point in time, like especially with the bump growing after I made the video yesterday, you know, I've seen a lot of stuff like that where if I like, you know, release some information that would probably like hinder their like extermination plans for the human and their in global enslavement, which is already there. It's just like I think this current situation is them scared that I'm waking people up to who they are, and yeah, like I think that's what they had to do. That's what they had to do with Trump and the invasion of the Capitol. They had to stage that because there are probably actual people out there who aren't Rothschild bloodline, like we can assume John Schaefer, who invaded the Capitol, is. You know, one of the Hollywood stars. We just assume all Hollywood stars are them because all Hollywood stars have them. And yeah, so yeah, I've noticed that's happened several times. Like I get damaged, and even Laura Dunham, when she came into my life from Washington D.C., Sterling, Virginia. That's right outside Washington. That's you don't live in Washington, you live in Sterling, and then you work for the government in Washington. It's a military community, and she also worked in Hollywood, and her brothers. You know, the famous Jeff Dunham, ultra famous, the most famous puppeteer of these times, travels around, charges minimum $80 a ticket. So, I mean, that's like Justin Bieber level fame. If you've never heard of him, you just simply haven't looked around because that means he's Justin Bieber level fame. And yeah, so you know that person they showed me a little voodoo doll of me before my arm got messed up, and then the next day their arm got messed up the exact same way. I eventually healed, and they had to get surgery, and I think the surgery failed on them. It's interesting how that worked. But they sent me pictures of a voodoo doll, and they were definitely implying that voodoo doll was me. And this is a person who you know, has made it to places where everyone else in the world wishes they were. And these are the these are the things they do behind closed doors. They play with voodoo dolls. Is that how you get in Hollywood? You play with voodoo dolls? Is that how you get to hang out with the government? You play with voodoo dolls behind closed doors? I also felt during that time, like, I was like, huh, my heart's starting to hurt. Why is this? So I went to a bunch of doctors and they told me I was fine and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. Maybe it was just because that person got me using a lot of caffeine and I decided to keep using a lot of caffeine, pre-workout and stuff. I noticed they like to pass around the phrase, give people rope and they'll hang themselves. So I thought I should include that last bit. But yeah, I think that's interesting when someone can come up to me and tell me it's not all of us. And it's like, how do you know how do you know anything about me? How do you know it's not all of who? Elaborate to me. It's not all of who? Tell me what that phrase means. Say it out loud. They never say it out loud. They never tell me what they mean. It's as if I'm supposed to know all these messages I'm given. I'm supposed to know everything in the world. Like they literally act like I'm supposed to know everything that's going on and the meaning behind everything and their little clues and stuff like that. And it's like some days it's like, well, maybe I do. Maybe I do understand exactly everything that's going on. And that means that when someone comes up to me and says it's not all of us and they've been hiding their whole lives who they are, that these bad people they know about are. And at the end of the day, that tells me that, like, they're part of it. They've known about it forever. Right? Like, that's the message I'm getting. So if you want to give me a coded message, be careful. Be careful about the coded message because I can extract a lot more information from a coded message than what you want me to hear. And again, like I turned to this invisible sky fairy and I ask them questions. And a lot of times they're just like, look at you, dude. You're the one who understands what's going on here. And they always tell me to watch my back, and it's like I don't even care. Like, kind of getting like, a little uppity about being forced to be in this world and stuff. I've always kind of been that way, but I didn't know this whole thing was going on around me, where everyone seems to be involved in something else. Even if it is like everyone else is like, or most things out here are fake, and like robots in a playland, or more likely it'd be a lot cheaper. It'd be pretty expensive to create a playland the size of North America. That would mean I'm like, or the world. That would mean I'm like ultra rich outside of this world if I could afford something like that. But so I assume like it's some sort of virtual reality playland, chemically induced, something like that. But it's definitely not like the real world, is because like it's all like being tailored to me on some level. Not maybe not all of it, but a lot of it. Wow, like I don't even listen to pop music, but there's other stuff gets tailored to me a lot, and it's like I can figure out like some of these Bible verses and what they mean, and it gives me hope that they don't actually understand the meaning of the stories they think they wrote, because I can come up with some meanings that no one's ever come up with, and there's other stuff like I'm coming up with the real meaning to it, the chip in the hand by the Googsters. That is Satan. That is the adversary, right? Putting the chip in the hand that you pay for stuff with, and then they're going to outlaw that. At the meantime, though, like they're like making songs talking about how evil the chip in the hand is and all this stuff, and like they're simply like they're just running their mouths. They're not even telling you like it's already here. They're kind of like stalling it almost. Like I try to look at it like, well, if they understand it, then they know it's already here, right? If if all these people, if all these preachers and stuff are talking about the chip in the hand, and these famous people in Hollywood who are the same bloodlines as the Googsters, if they all can talk about it, then either they know what's going on or they don't. You can't simply say there's going to be a chip in the hand, like, right? You can't simply say that. And I'm not saying that they're not going to implant stuff in people. I'm actually saying I've been saying for a long time that that's already taken care of a long time ago, and probably not in your hand. It's probably where it's really hard to get to, like the back of your neck, some place, maybe somewhere around this pineal gland thing that is like deeply embedded in your skull, and according to the COVID doctors, you will die if you try to get to that pineal gland and see what's really in there. And of course, the doctors don't know what's going on. They can't even tell you how to poop right. I just made the video on how to fix constipation. They don't even know how to tell you to. They just found another pump in the body, supposedly. So it's like they've never taken the body apart or something. Where's the debate over that? Over how you find new stuff in the human body, and they've been supposedly taking millions of body parts apart a year, right? I find it kind of interesting because I don't. That that's the most interesting part to me right now. I'm just kind of saying that because it was kind of like interesting for a few months. It's like, this is some like sort of spiritual, technological world, and like people just think it's like grass and trees and birds and people. And it's like, nah, dude, there's something else going on here. There's some extreme levels of something else going on here. And I wonder how many people actually know any of that stuff. Clearly, no one like is talking about like the chip in the hand and how everyone already has it. The chip in the hand we pay for stuff with. Most of us are already paying for it, right? I'm not this time because I don't have my Samsung, but if you got a Samsung, you definitely been using Samsung Pay, right? The Google Pay was cut out for a minute, but it's back, or it's still working. Supposedly they made it so it didn't work or something. I don't know. Maybe they brought it back. I don't know exactly because I was using the Samsung Pay. But should you believe people who like can come up to you and like, let's say you're investigating some crime syndicate, and then some people come up to you and say, "We're not all involved in it." It's like, we're not all involved in what? In what? Who's we? What are you not all involved with? Tell me. Tell me. I don't know everything. Tell me what you're talking about. I'm just supposed to like assume, like where you can scan my mind and see everything I'm thinking of or something like that. That is obviously not the case. I've tested that enough. Maybe they have something similar to that, but not enough to like fully understand, because they ask some dumb questions sometimes, like, what do we do next and all this? It's like, there's a bridge over there that's pretty high. And but it's like I don't go into that, because it's like if they act stupid, it's like, well, it's obviously something you don't need to know. It's obviously something that's been kept out of kept out of the loop for a reason. And I've been pretty open and honest about things. So if if the Matrix itself has allowed it to not reach your mind and your information, and you know all this stuff about me, then the Matrix is like keeping that out of your mind for good reason. It's like, oh no, dude, just shut up. Stop saying that. They're going to hear you one day. I do get that warning sometimes, but it's like, why should I sit around and like, lie? And unless I really have to, right? I don't feel like I should. Like, with this political stuff, I just tell it how I see it, right? With the world that's going on right now, just tell it how I see it. That's it. I'm, trying to figure stuff out, but I got a lot of it figured out. I made documentaries on that, and now those documentaries I made, that stuff, like, you're not allowed to talk about that. That stuff's been erased. Even the sources that they themselves gave me have been erased. And then you're left with like trails that go nowhere, and you can't like actually educate yourself on what is Proud Boys, where does it come from, what is the alt-right, where does it come from, what are the Antifa, where does it come from. Although you might still be able to find small links to that, but the other stuff's definitely hidden. So hopefully, everything's all perfect. And this Joseph Biden, let me tell you, I had some very suspect Josephs in my life. And they were asking suspect questions too. Like they knew stuff about me. They were acting in suspect ways. Like they knew stuff about me that didn't involve them. One even said something about my video, and I was like, dude, what are you talking about? You don't even watch my videos. He's like, oh, my friend does. It's like, no one you knows my friend. Like my friend circle is like this big, dude. And not 666. Not Abrahamic. Illuminati symbolism. It's like that. That's my friend's circle. And like, and he was talking about like, this is the person I knew in real life. And it was like, well, I don't think we actually like have any friends in common, do we? Like the people who know me are like these metalheads and stuff, and it'd be like a little extreme for me to call them friends too. So yeah, but the other one came up with some crazy stuff, asking me questions like, what's going to happen to me out here? It's like, don't you worry your little head off about what's going to happen in this world. Like, read your Bible, dude. Apparently the Bible's pretty on point with some of the stuff going on, although with claims it's being written by them, claims they wrote it. It could be them hijacking other people's culture. I mean, that's exactly what we're seeing going on right now, and that's what every backstory in the Matrix tells us has happened. And that's exactly what Christianity was used to do, to cleanse Europeans and other nations and install their own genetics and religions, it seems like. And even the opposition to Christianity is their people. The science cult, the Satanist cult. So if you wanted to oppose Christianity, you wouldn't like be a Satanist because the Bible invented Satan. If you're like, I don't believe in that stuff, then you wouldn't worship part of it. You wouldn't be like, hey, I don't believe in it, but I like this page right here. I'm gonna believe in that. I guess that's kind of what everyone does, right? Again, the Satanists put up the Christmas trees. The Satanists celebrate Easter. The atheists and science worshippers, they put up Christmas trees. They celebrate Easter, which are like pagan, which to me clues me in on another important question. Who invented paganism? According to heathens, paganism was invented by Zeus. I mean, can you... These religious discussions are actually pretty funny and stuff. But I get to the the root people, and they're like, oh, Zeus invented the paganism, and I'm like, well, the only people I can see inventing pagan books are Hollywood studios, Marvel and Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics has a ton of books on Thor, the son of Zeus. Interesting. The movies are interesting, to say the least, right? They're good for a watch or two. And I'm just like, what the hell's going on here? I mean, maybe I've got to figure it out. Maybe I've got to figure it out more than they do, but I like to think I'm not the smartest person here. I like to think that maybe they're just really good actors and they're good at acting stupid, but I mean, the questioning seems to railroad everyone at some point. I railroad myself questioning. But there's something out there that speaks through this entire system and stuff. And I don't know if that's them. I don't know if that's them or not. I don't think it is. I think it's an entire thing. I think the system is the system, and the system can regulate itself without anyone there. Like the thing that created this system, it can create the system. It can do whatever it wants. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, we got like 10 billion humans on Earth. The system. You think the system is like freaking out? You think like Gaia and the universe is like freaking out? Oh God, these 10 million humans are out of control. Oh look, they've got 9mm and assault rifles. What are we gonna do? Oh no, they developed tanks and nukes. The people watching the system probably look at that like they develop nukes. They're gonna kill themselves off. You know what I'm saying? They're probably not looking at nukes as like a threat to them. They're probably they're just gonna kill themselves off with that. That's not even a threat. We can just call time out on the sun. We can say good night to the sun, and then everything is shut down permanently. If you created the system, you can call time out on the water, the sun, whatever you want, right? So I get the feeling that all pervasive thing, and it feels like they worship it too. Like all this symbolism and stuff they use, it makes me wonder if they haven't hijacked it, if they haven't found the key to communicating with the system, like the all-seeing eye and all that. I mean, that's what that refers to. I'm pretty sure is the people who have learned to communicate with the system. The system tells me everything's going to be fine eventually. It doesn't sit around and try to scare me. I'm already a little freaked out enough as it is. But so it doesn't like sit around and try to like scare me with like, you need to like, you know, get your ass in gear and get prepared for some things going on. It likes to just roll out stuff apparently, and you got to deal with it from there. But if you got to worry about it for like 10 years, you're just going to like freak out for like 10 years, right? I don't think they're the system. I'm not too sure what's going on, but I'm pretty sure they're not the system. You know, all the lies makes it so you can't like really tell. And